First of all, I want to thank everyone for taking a couple hours on a Saturday. That's always big commitment. So this is going to be fun because everyone's going to be pitching. We're going to go through this in order. And I do have a bell in case anybody gets out of control like this. So now we've got 5 of you. I think we can give each person 15 minutes not to present. I would take 5 to present unless it's really complicated. So if we have 5 minutes to present, we have 10 minutes to discuss and get feedback and all that wonderful stuff. And I will send around a poll. It gives you a chance to see how 5 people, well, as 4 people now, evaluated your presentation. So just, you fill it out and it's just us. So you'll get some really interesting feedback. And there's a short comment section too. So I think now we will just start. I think, Kit, we're going to start with you.
I'm going to give you the backstory first. So this is the backstory to the NFT. So it's actually based on an audio series. So this is an audio series called the Spellcast. We've been doing this for several years. And it's a surrealist New York world. It's like film noir meets Monty Python, but kind of like a New York film noir meets Monty Python. And we have all these stories. We have the werewolves, repeating werewolf motif, some other stories, some pirate stories. It's really hard to describe. I mean, I would say if you're into the Mighty Boosh, it's like a New York version of the Mighty Boosh. So a lot of it is between the story of Stanley and Annabelle. And so these podcasts, we've been doing this. We have a really interesting following because our stuff is so out of the norm. It's not like what most people listen to. So if you want to check this out, you'll kind of get an idea of like what this is. It's a very different kind of thing, a little bit like old time radio, but in a modern way, because now we can use modern sound collage techniques. So this is kind of like the background of the actual. So now I'm going to share another thing. So this is an example of one of them. This comes from the story Witchcraft. And there's also going to be a soundtrack behind it. We have sound. If you can see it, this is an example of one of the things. So in that, Annabelle flies through the air. The New York of our thing kind of changes time because when they walk through the streets, sometimes it becomes an older New York with vaudeville theaters and things like that. So you'll get it when you get the story. So this is a segment of the story. So we continue the stories in these NFTs. And the idea is to have these NFT tickets that we sell as premiere to the podcast episode. So those people get to hear the podcast a week in advance, and they also get this ticket. But we also do some live events as well. So we also sell the tickets as part of the live events that we do. So we have live shows at this place on St. Mark's Theater 80 St. Mark's. And so we sell the tickets and they get the NFT. And then this NFT is proof that they actually were at that show. And so this is kind of like one variation, but there's also a variation where we also have the werewolf variations where some of these characters turn into werewolves in the animation. We have different backgrounds for this character that Holly, a friend of mine, Holly, is making the background. So she'll be making some different variations on the background. We'll have different characters in the foreground, maybe have 2 characters interact. We have to make a bunch of these by the end of this month, where we are actually minting them with Aspen, which is a platform. We did do one thing in OpenSea. I did put one on OpenSea, but Aspen is kind of interesting because they have a infrastructure that I find useful for what we're trying to do in terms of promoting things and making it part of our entire media. Because they also are doing National Lampoon. They have kind of like an infrastructure for like if you're trying to be a media company. And also the other thing about our NFTs, I think our NFTs are beautiful, because there's this trend to ugly NFTs. We want to make our NFTs kind of beautiful, but they get edgy too. They get the stories are edgy. So we want to keep an edginess, but we also want to be beautiful at the same time. So this is the one that I can show you right now. There's a series. It's part of a collection. I can stop sharing. We can have a discussion.
Yeah. So just to clarify here, your Spellcast pre-NFT is audio only. Is that correct?
Yes, we are. We did do a few video things, but I like it audio better because it's like having the full special effects.
I like audio. I'm a huge audio fan too.
Without having to, everyone has
I actually like the way that you're doing your visuals because it's not too specific. My other question, then I'll turn it over to the other people just so we get these covered. Where are your audio casts found, and what kind of community do you have from there?
Interesting. It's great because we have a great community of actors. And, I also work with this guy, Jackson Scott, on the music. We work on it together. I do most of the sound effects and sound collage. I have a intern, Amanda, who helps me with that. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on anywhere you can find podcasts. You can get to it through the website if you want. What we like about the website is we like the direct contact with our audience. So our website is good for that, because really the direct letters work. We have I think our audience is a bit more, they're outside of the box thinkers. They like being outside the box. It isn't like a podcast has to be about something. It's not telling you what to think. It's stories that are just fun that actually make you think anyway. But you're thinking for yourself. So we leave it's a lot of mystery, a lot of very David Lynch in that way.
It sounds wonderful. And I'm curious if I asked you how to define your community, how many listeners, how many tracked contacts in terms of
So there are like 2,000 to 6,000 downloads. And we have, it's also the direct letters kind of get us to know who our listeners are. We get a lot of college people. Seems like a lot of college students like us. And then there are people who, it seems to be liked by people in the theater and movie fields themselves. We have actually celebrity fans, we have David Lynch in 2 episodes, Steve Buscemi in a couple of episodes. So they actually, some people even wanted to act, we're like happy to do little roles, in our podcast. We make it really easy for them to do it. We give them some lines and get them in. And then the people who are our locals, they're all acting in TV shows. They're not like major actors, but they get, they're in like Miss Maisel and a few TV shows as supporting actors, but they're also friends.
You have an embarrassment of riches. You have a small, super engaged group that has their own following. So you're off to the races. I'm going to turn this over for other people with questions. First of all, how are you going to price this, and have you thought about how to leverage this high profile group of people that is already in or are you going to try not to do that?
The thing about it is it's kind of weird to sell your own thing. It's like you look at even like you go to the history and like the Beatles had Brian Epstein. They wouldn't be able to sell their own. They wouldn't make it if they were trying to do it themselves. Monty Python couldn't, they said if they had to pitch it, it would never have happened. So in a sense, I'm looking for that kind of person to join the team who will do that for us for a percentage. And then we can price it probably more intelligently. But we have somebody who is going to help us with the pricing with our next meeting with Aspen, since we're working with Aspen right now. I think we're going to have them help us think about those kinds of things. So that woman is kind of right now like an agent for us or a manager for us for now, but we're really looking for that kind of person. I think it's hard to do everything. You're creating and you're thinking, it's like, and also it just looks in the same way. Like we don't know about using influencers because it makes our stuff is kind of, it's irreverent, like Mad Magazine. And an influencer makes you look like you really want to, it looks cheesy. It's just so it's
not cool, as we used to say, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I totally get it. It's interesting. I'm sure that people they knew about you get a lot of interest in help for, PR because of cachet that you have from just the names that you dropped in the last, 5 minutes. I always have to ask people for $25 a month, and it just never feels good.
I have the hardest time asking people for money. I have that hard time, it's really
well, it's a failure of artists. I'm sure you'd be much better selling somebody else's than your own.
Yeah, exactly. I could do it for someone else though.
So we've got the ask here. If anybody knows a PR type, I would jump all over it. It sounds wonderful. Kit Crash, anything more you want to add? Any last words? What your website is spellcast.com.
And it's the Spellcast with a T.
Okay.
And it's 1 L. So it's also playing on the idea that spell is also play. So it's like the Playcast. as well, the Spellcast. Spell is play in German and Dutch and the Nordic languages. So we have a good cast, great cast. Our regular cast is amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I will definitely be watching this
Yeah.
video. Maybe we'll invite you back later and you can play some of these NFTs and we can
yeah.
watch what happened. And Aspen is also a big find. Didn't know about them.
Mhm.
And now are they a marketplace as well?
Yeah, but they're planning to do something kind of different. It's a little bit, their plan is to make things easier for everyone to buy NFTs, which I think there's a lot of companies trying to do that.
Sure.
You can use regular money and it builds the wallet for you. Kind
And
of
what blockchain is it on?
it's an Ethereum. Yeah, it's an
Okay,
Ethereum.
great.
Yeah. I think they might be using Polygon. And but I have been interested in, I have a nephew who works for Soldano. He's been trying to tell me I should use that, but I'll see that. It's built from the ground up, supposedly certain ways really well. So
That's an argument for another day, discussion
yeah.
for another day. All right, great. That was fantastic. I'm really inspired. It's one of the reasons I love to do this is somebody pops up with some crazy thing they're doing somewhere in the country. So Christopher Himmel, we're going to move to an art collection that you're promoting for your mom, right?
Yes, yes. A little bit of background. My mother is an artist. She went to school at the University of Tampa for art education. She did some then, but after my dad passed, then she really got into her artwork and has drawn. She does color pencil, and has just done so much since then, and has taken stuff to the Florida State Fair and won Best in Show a couple of times. Always walks away with a few ribbons there. What my goal is, okay, is to take her artwork and kind of memorialize it, set it up for posterity, digitize it. And I think this is actually something a lot of artists are doing and or should think about doing. So that's my goal, my main goal. Creating NFTs is a good method for doing that. Selling them, making a ton of money, no, that's not really my goal. But I want to learn about that whole process. So anyway, yeah, I've created this Faces by Marriott Life for her stuff. I haven't put anything on it yet, but just getting started there. So I'll walk through a little bit. So in general, the goal here is to digitize your artwork with NFTs. Basically, 3 big steps in there. You start with, okay, your collection of artwork. You got to pull that together and then create the NFTs. There's a process to that as well. And then finally, there's the marketing part of it, which is to get it on e.g. OpenSea. So I'll just kind of start with the first part, the collection, talk about quickly my mom's artwork. Here's some of my favorites of her artwork. It's all, not all, but 90% of it is portraits. Again, within that, probably 50% of it is my nieces. I've got 4 nieces. This is the same girl, one of my nieces. She was adopted from China. Again, this is in its infancy. I've just taken quick photos around the house of all the artwork. And basically here are all the photos that I've taken. My goal, or what I'm going to do, is take a couple of hours and just unpack all of these pictures and take a good photo of them outside so that I can get good diffused light. However, there's also this room, okay,
Wow.
my mom's house. It's all the artwork that's not up around the house. It's all in here. However, down underneath, it's like a whole other pile of pictures that she's done in various levels of completion. It's just this is going to be a very large process of collecting all of these, getting them all digitized. So yeah, so these are some of what she mostly does. She does do also some animals, and she also does very, very interesting pictures that are not necessarily of people, friends, family. This is a very Tampa picture, of the Gasparilla She does a lot of that. And just here's a quick picture of my mom. She was at the art festival here. You can see one of the pictures that won Best in Show in the background, but I have some other pictures that are better for that. And here she's actually working, and I have some videos of that, working on one of them. So yeah, so that's basically the first part, the collection. Second part is creating the NFTs, and I am a extreme novice at that. I did spent hours and hours trying to okay, what's the mode to do that? What are the apps to do that? How do I do it on a Mac? How do I do it? What machine do I do it on? A little bit of background about me. I'm a techie. I've been a programmer since I was 7 years old. My dad was a programmer who, when he passed, he basically set my mom up financially so that she can do this kind of thing. She doesn't have anything she has to do, so she does her art. I'm a business analyst. I do machine learning, artificial intelligence type of stuff for Levi Strauss. I'm sure you guys have heard of them. So yeah, I mean, this is like a perfect project for me to go in and found Ninja FT. It's an app on my phone. I can't do this. I don't think I can do this on the Mac. But yeah, I digitized a few. Basically, the next thing I need to do is get this on a marketplace. And I did a quick search, what are good marketplaces out there? This is how you monetize, this. And just here's some stuff about myself, my LinkedIn. I'm working on a startup. This is my personal website, my email, and I've done a lot of research in this, which has been neural networks. So, and I was back in school, but it's been referenced like over 400 times. That's basically it. Just wanted to kind of give you a quick rundown of where I'm at with this project. Of course, in a month, it's going to look very different. This presentation will look very different, and I'll be much further along.
That's awesome. I'm really impressed. I mean, when somebody says I'm going to turn my mom's art into something, I'm already, hesitant, but I thought it was amazing. I see people nodding. I'm not going to start here. I'm going to start with Kit, since you're nodding, tell me your reactions, and then we'll sort of go around the room, and then I'll follow it up.
Yeah, this looks, I just think it's just very interesting to see. I'm kind of curious. It's curious because I'm also kind of interested in like what can be an NFT, and this kind of, because kind of thinking about NFTs in a different way. And I think there's a story. One thing that I'm always interested in NFTs is that it's a continuation of a story. So I wonder if you had thought of like what an underlying story is in this particular project.
Yes, I have thought a lot about that. It's evolving. It's interesting as I was going through and segmenting, these pictures into different groups. That's where I was starting to come up with a story. But yeah, exactly. I mean, I need to put some thought into that. That's where the marketing is really gonna, grab somebody. Is that there is something bigger. So, I'm a very creative person. So I'll be, definitely be putting a lot of thought into that.
Yeah, I like the way on some of them that you took the painting and then made details from it. And then also I was seeing the stories as you were going through the different stories, the different people that could be divided. And then I'm a person who likes frames on artwork. So I was wondering if you might think of, on some of them, maybe adding frames, different frames. I don't know.
Yeah, adding a digital frame. I used to work for Blick Art Material, which anybody who's an artist understands that. And I did a lot of work on digital framing. So yeah, I need to jump in and do that. Interesting. Yeah, just, I mean, there's great ideas. I love it. It's going out on a limb, showing, this work that's, in process. But, feedback, I love to learn, what directions I need to go.
I really like so much about this. I think your story starts with your memorializing your mother, and then each person has their stories. I encourage you to look at a photography project called Women Unite. If you go under Explorer on OpenSea, you'll see this project. Weirdly, your mother's paintings look sort of strangely modern, probably because they're realistic and they're portraits. And so they've got this kind of retro yet modern feel. Like I could see hanging one on the wall in a contemporary house with no problem because of the realism, which has been, sort of out of fashion for so long. And she's obviously very good. And I like the portraits. I love the idea of the portraits and the stories behind the portraits. In marketing, we always talk about scarcity. You can definitely create scarcity here, right? Maybe you want to save one for the family. One goes out to the market, something like that. And I like the fact that you have some videos. That's something else that if you have them that you could include as something that goes with the piece is the video on how it was created. If you have it, I know you don't have it on, all 1,000, but I really love this collection. I mean, compared to most of what we see out there, it's really cool. And I think the idea that you've got this, your mother probably doesn't know how it doesn't have a digital wallet, but the idea that you sort of included her and that, as this, she's obviously raised a son with a lot of technical skills. Now we're going to go to Laura.
All right, so these are the boots that the kids made. I gave them the boot design, the boot outline, and instructed them to make a boot according to, I wanted them to use pattern and, something that they would like or were interested in or about themselves. And then I put them on the backgrounds. I looked at them, and as I was looking at NFTs with different backgrounds, and I like pattern on pattern, I thought, well, maybe I can do something with these. I can, put, like I said, scan them in, I don't have Photoshop anymore, but use something or one of those generators. So, I was teaching in Texas last year. So obviously I found that that's what Texans like, their cowboy boots for sure. So there's certainly, as far as a market, no problem there. And so this is just the initial idea. And for me, it was more testing how to do it. So I wanted something that was on the simple side that I could scan, manipulate, generate into other images. I have 16 here. There were 16 kids in this class. These were 9 and 10-year-olds, and then go from there. And that was it, really.
Wow, that's come a long way. I will tell you something that Laura is like, because I remember you now. She is an amazing abstract artist herself. She's really a great artist. This looks really great to me. I'm wondering, do the kids have their names on this? Like, how are you going to involve them in this? Or are you going to involve them in this? And, is there some kind of children's related tie-in, or like, have you thought anything about these sort of ideas? Because I love them, and I think you've got a concept right here. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering, these 16 kids, do they know that you're doing this? And
they don't know. It was something I thought about afterward, and I'm not associated with them anymore. I just occasionally do these artist in residence. Mm-hmm. I figured after I could involve them later. I thought about it. I think they would love to see that. But at the same time, I don't want it to make it completely their artwork. Like I said, I don't want to pixelize it, but I want to digitize it in some way so that I have all these different backgrounds, and then I can generate more boots. And a lot of this is just for me to practice how to do it, because we talked about too, Alyssa, that gardening series that I had done. Mm-hmm. But to me, this was the simplest route to get started.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to throw out a caveat here and an idea, because when there's a problem, there's sometimes an opportunity. But the copyright on the artwork belongs to the creator, which in this case is child. So right. You need to be really careful about taking that and generating any income off it. Although I do think it would be a really interesting project to, if you're working with kids that don't have a lot of money, to be able to send the money back to the family or something like that, even though
I can, if I manipulate it enough, then it's my artwork. I think the lawyers say, as long as I think it was something like 35% is yours or 35% is, I have to double check. 2, I could simply monetize it for them. They can use it as a fundraiser for the school, which would be a simple, because they do have 2 fundraisers a year at the school. So I could simply send it off to them, and then obviously the parents and other people would be purchasing. And I think it's a group that is savvy enough and involved in that already. It's not a poor school.
Yeah, I mean, I see a potential, you could do a DAO of some kind, where you have, and then in that you have an agreement with other creators can get a percentage. But the other thing is, I just think aesthetically, I mean, I see a lot of art shows here in New York. This is actually, I mean, the color combinations and everything are surprising how children just have that, they can do it well.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And the backgrounds you've added are fantastic.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that. I mean, that would be my part of the artwork. And we put them up in an art show, and they just love them. Yeah, the kids were totally engaged. And we had studied pattern and so on. And yeah, they do look similar to some of what is very popular right now.
Yeah, these are wonderful. We've had some fantastic presentations so far. We're going to go on to our next one, which is the only super utility one. I just love this. I would hang it on my wall. I can see people in LA putting that on their wall too. I mean,
Yeah,
it's really beautiful. Jason, this should be something totally new. Go for it.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to use a NFT for a totally different purpose. I try to build a solution for commercial owner, like a brand owner, to using NFT to protect their products. Let's have a little bit background on the counterfeiting first. Okay, counterfeiting right now is about 3.3% of global trading. That's 1 in every $30 is either counterfeit or counterfeit product. It's amazing. It's a huge number. The problem why counterfeiting is growing, I think, is the technology. We don't have the right tool to identify counterfeit products. The 2 major approaches we're using right now is one is called physical authentication. So this solution, we analyze the physical property of a product. And well, unfortunately, the best information you can get from physical analyzation is you find out where the element under investigating is made for, or who made it. But for the whole product, you still have no idea who authorized to build the whole product. Okay, so that's the limitation for physical authentication. And then the second approach we have right now is called track and trace technology, which is pretty hard right now. The track and trace technology, that can tell you location information of an authentic product, where it has been, where it should be right now. The biggest problem for track and trace technology is, one, if a counterfeiter clone the tracking ID, the replica will have identical tracking information. So that means it's not it cannot stop double spending in the blockchain world. The market for anti-counterfeiting packages is huge. Right? That's all I can tell you guys right now. It's about 140 billion right now, and its growing rate, it can be double in 2026. If you look at this number, it's bigger than the industry Uber or Airbnb is in. So you might ask how an NFT can protect a physical product. Let me jump into this slide here. Assume we have 2 pair of shoes sold by 2 stores. They have they are replica for each other. So they look identical. Physically, they look identical. And they're also carrying the same tracking ID. So if you put out the tracking information, it still be identical. At this point, how does a consumer or law enforcement to find out which one is authentic? So right now, the store to the right, the red shop, you say, hey, the brand owner issue a title token, issue an NFT for every authentic product build. And we know that for NFT, that each NFT have a unique code. And this unique code is also embedded on, is also printed on the shoe itself. So if you're searching this NFT ID, if the token is not issued by the brand owner, then it's a fake. So that's pretty simple logic. So if the product has NFT issued by the brand owner, then it's authentic, otherwise it's fake. In order for this solution to work, we have to overcome 2 limitations. One is the price, and the tool for issue, or you call mint an NFT. So I built this tool right here. It's a super simple for brand owner. All they have to do is just enter the barcode for the product they want to, the UPC code for the product they want to build and number of the NFT they want to issue or they want to mint, and then they can just generate. This can generate NFT pretty much one every second. The second interface that's for the consumer. So what consumer going to do is they're going to find the code, the NFT ID on the product itself. And then they perform a search on the Crypto C14 website or the official website. From here, they will put out information such as the product image, product information, the issuer information, which is tied to the wallet address the issuer publish. And most importantly is the purchase advisory. So the purchase advisory is kind of like a title search we normally found like when you're buying a real estate or a Carfax. So that will tell you a history about this NFT, who issued it, whether it's issued before the wallet expired, and if there's a sole record, if the part is an integrated part of another assembly, for example, like an auto part. If there's a no red sign from the purchase advisory, that means this product is safe to purchase. So this is the pre-sale title search for a consumer product. Then the second part is how do the consumer getting the NFT that associated with this product. And so you can see from the left, at the bottom, there's a redemption code. So the redemption code is a code that was encrypted by the issuer or by the brand owner. So if you can submit the right redemption code to the brand owner's official website, then he can decrypt it. If it matches with the token ID, then boom, you get the right, you get the authentic product. And think about counterfeiter. Counterfeiter have no way to generate this redemption code unless he can crack the algorithm that's used by the brand owner. Also, for counterfeiter, there's no way they can produce NFT from the wallet announced by brand owner unless he's either stolen the passphrase or he can crack the algorithm used by the blockchain. So basically, that's the solution. I think I'm ready for answer questions.
I just have a quick question. I mean, first of all, this is extremely elegant how simple this solution is. But I know how much technology there is behind it. My question is, like, what is the cost to generating each one of these NFTs, not just from the brand owner, but also like, you know, I know there's this whole thing about the environment and, you know, what kind of processing power has to go into generating each one of these NFTs?
Yes, let me share a different screen so we can have a live view on this part on the application I built on. So first of all, I built this solution on NFT clone. So basically, it's free for everybody. To generate NFT for every product, it's free. I can tell you it's free. Okay. Mm-hmm. So right here, you enter the barcode quantity you want to generate, and just go ahead click. That's the result for the brand owner. They can give this a product ID or the token ID, which is NFT ID, to the manufacturer to build a product, and also the redemption code. Yeah, how do you get the token for free? All this action right here, you have to pay in CC14 token. Everybody can get it for free. If you want, you can even build your own blockchain. So go to this website. First of all, you generate a wallet, let's get a random thing, and then you can request one. Also note this is all live, okay? So see this new wallet address generated by this passphrase right here. You can just go ahead, click on request. Then you will have 500 in your wallet. Then you can use for generate the NFT. Yeah, I think I kind of like I'm not in the NFT community because I want my NFT to be cheap, pretty much no cost.
So I'm still, maybe I missed it. Are you on a particular blockchain? Are you off a blockchain? How are you doing?
Yeah, it's on the blockchain called CC14.
New one to me.
New to you, definitely, because that one created by me. Well, I cloned from NFT. NFT is one of the first POS-based blockchain in the market. It's called a next generation blockchain.
So if it's free, how are you monetizing this?
Good questions. Where's my beef? Where's my money? The solution I have is some innovation in it. So first of all, there's other project they try to use NFT to protect the product. But what they did is they tokenized the physical product. But my solution instead, I tokenized the authorization, the information of authenticity or authorization by the brand owner. So this makes the solution is much simplified than the other solution in the market. Secondly, is this redemption code. So the redemption code, other solutions that require a database to find a relationship between the NFT ID and the secret redemption code. But my creation is the redemption code is encrypt and decrypt from the ID. So that case, you don't need a database. All you need just do a calculation. And this solution right here is patent pending. So hopefully I can collect a royalty fee when the patent is granted. You can think of this solution as a product registration without a centralized authority. The brand owner, they can issue the token they want, as long as they have the CC14 token and announce their wallet address to publish the token. For the seller, for the owner, for example, if I want to sell this product to an authentic product, I want to sell to Joe. So I can transfer the NFT to Joe. So he can own a certification of authenticity in the form of NFT. Basically, I transfer the certificate to him. So next time when Joe wants to sell it, he don't have to go through physical authentication check or check and trace, which we already know is not working at all. So he can just prove, hey, I own this certification.
Is it possible to make this a white label kind of thing where somebody can use this, but they could use their own branding? In the sense, it looks like the branding is this app that I was wondering if the QR codes can have the branding of the product themselves within it.
Are you talking about the CC14 code here? Or
Yeah.
That one, this image, you can put your own logo.
Right. So if Nike wants to do it, they want to brand it as a Nike.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So have you thought about a membership model? Because it sounds like you could earn some revenues from businesses signing up for 4 million products, 4,000, 4 million, whatever.
Yes, that's the SaaS model, the software as a service. Yeah, I'm thinking about that model as well. A little bit background myself. I'm from a real estate, so I'm not a programmer or anything from software industry. So I kind of need some help to build this business model. But yeah, SaaS is one of the good options because many people might not have too much idea about NFT, especially most people still have no idea how NFT can protect a physical asset. That's still new to many, either IP owner, brand owner, and consumers. Yes.
So your ask is you want developers in which language are we talking about here?
At this point, I'm more looking for someone has more background in business. Right now, the MVP is ready, but it can be improved definitely. But for currently, I think the most important part for me is marketing this idea. Right now, there's a hackathon going on for counterfeiting, bring down counterfeiting. That was sponsored by Amazon. That's one of the events I'm going to participate. So hopefully I can get this solution some attention.
Thank you, Jay. That was really amazing. All right, so we have a few minutes left. I want to review, I guess I'm going to throw it out first, and then I'll review the asks, make sure I have them right in case anybody has anything to contribute. But does anyone want to chime in on a thought they had or a question they had that didn't get addressed?
I just want to say I'm just amazed by people's innovation and creativity, and I appreciate all of the presentations because it helps me think differently of what the possibilities are and how I can use it, and it's just enjoyable to just to hear what people are doing across the board and how people are thinking.
I'm definitely going to go look at what we're doing as far as tagging, what Levi's is doing, because I was just, I deal with the data projects for everything we do, and I was just looking at what the return on investment was on all of those data projects. And one of them was the tagging of all of our products. So we'll look at that and see how it could relate to this, the NFT, your project, Jason.
Yeah, I have a quick thing that I'm kind of interested in the non-NFT thing, which is like rights management system where somebody, if we use a song somebody else wrote, if they want to put their song in our thing, they just go to a website and say, yes, I give permission. It's in the blockchain and their song gets put on our show. So this kind of system I don't see out there, and it should be really easy in the blockchain, but I'm not a programmer. So there are things, and that's one of the things I found interesting about the Crypto 14 that you're doing is that there's all these other back-end possibilities, legal possibilities that are there. like, why would you use an NFT and why wouldn't you just use a blockchain? These are kind of questions as well that I'm kind of asking. If you go a direct blockchain agreement, do you need an NFT as your ticket to the agreement?
Yeah, so just throw out a couple points of information there. Solana does have, if you create an NFT on Solana,
Mhm.
they do have like 9 different kinds of click to add licensing agreements that add, partial use values to those. One music oriented app, DApp, on Solana is called Audius. They do have musicians that have created all kinds of music that may or may not come with these partial licenses. I'm not, because Audius is, it's an entire marketplace
Right.
created on top of Solana. So
It has to be super easy because most of the musicians I work with are not.
yeah.
And
And if it's Sol,
yeah.
if it's Sol C, they can create it, but it's not as robust a
Mhm.
marketplace as OpenSea, but they do have those rights management. And so otherwise, you are pretty much off chain. Even those licensing agreements, they're kind of like stored in Solana's Solc server. They're not actually, the agreement's on the blockchain, but the actual agreement, part of the agreement is not on the blockchain because it's just physically too big to store on there. So everything is always stored on another server. And so even your stuff on Aspen is on Aspen's server. So, you want to make sure you've got it on your server too, just in case Aspen doesn't succeed, whereas all of the stuff you created. That's one of the things about the blockchain that, people don't really understand, is that your art isn't actually there. It's on somebody's server, or you've got the IFPS or Filecoin, the server that somebody else is storing it. Yeah, there's for music for use. I think there's a music market. All the music marketplaces are in that thing. I'll try to send it to you after this. Anybody else have, like, just so you can see if you want to develop it, what's already there?
My project, I have a tool for individual, for creator as well, to create NFT for their artwork. And the license I embedded, the minter can choose from is a common creative. So that kind of license, or how they want to share that thing. That's the one I set as a default. I mean, they can choose a different level of a common creative. The other thing, the other question you have for how to prove I have the right to post your music or your piece of artwork on my page. I think one thing is you can issue a fungible token for every piece of work you created. For example, you create 1,000 of a fungible token. So if I want to post your artwork on it, I will buy a fungible token from you. So you still have a 999 left. So in that case, the fungible token can be proof that I already own your permission.
That's a neat, elegant solution I didn't think about. Doesn't need to be a copyright necessarily, but but actually it does, though, because if I buy that fungible token from you, I still don't necessarily own the copyright. But what's your platform that we can create these licensings that are baked in? Where do we go to do that?
Let me share screen. It's the same one on the Crypto C14. CryptoC14.com. It's in the crypto evidence. You can generate an NFT here. You choose your file, and then you give a name for your NFT, and then you pick out one of the license you want to. And then, of course, you have to put down your passphrase, and then you can generate.
So if I generate this,
Let's see that.
how do I get it onto the searchable marketplace where it's easier to sell? Can I do that, or?
Let me see. I can just make one right now. Oh, by the way, if you're using Crypto C14, you can only generate an NFT for a very small file because you are using a public API service. How to build your own node so you can build mint NFT for larger files? Instructions it's on the how to manual. So I'm gonna prepare the transaction. Now, once I get the buy, I can go ahead and broadcast to the blockchain. So I'm gonna broadcast. So this full hash right here, that's the one that published on the blockchain. You can click. Right now, this JSON file is already on the blockchain. Anyway, that's how you do it. That's the one thing you have to be careful is the source file is not stored on any IP file system. If you want to store on IP file system, you can store over there. And then when you generate the file, you can put in the message or somewhere So to remind you, this NFT is referring to the file locating on the file system.
So just so we get the questions in the next 3 minutes, generative platforms was one ask from Laura. The one that I'm thinking of is Nifty Mint.
Okay,
That will upload, it will actually, it's already integrated with OpenSea and it will upload. Otherwise, you have to upload your collection one at a time.
okay.
See, so Nifty Mint will do that. Anybody else have a generative software they're using?
That was actually one of my questions. And by that, you mean like how I used Ninja FT to actually create the NFT?
Well, there's two parts of this. One is, let's say you want to create small variations for an NFT. And then
Okay.
the second part of the question is, how do you upload to a marketplace like OpenSea without doing it one by one? Because on OpenSea, you know, even if you have 200, you have to do each one individually. So when we teach the class, you know, we say like, look, you got to create a Google spreadsheet with the properties and, you know, everything that's all mapped out. So if you're doing a big collection of several hundred, that
Mhm.
you know how that works. But if you go into Nifty Mint, it's integrated and you can upload your entire collection all at once.
I'm also curious about this is, can you be in several marketplaces? Is that something you're allowed to do, or do people prefer?
It depends on what you're marketing. So if you're marketing something as one of one, I mean, I mean, if it's one of one, you probably shouldn't put it in multiple marketplaces because you advertise it as one of one. And if somebody catches you, you could be blocked off that marketplace.
Right, yeah.
Well, and of course, the resellers are on multiple marketplaces, but it's still not a duplication issue. So that's part of the issue. So OpenSea, Solana is already integrated with OpenSea. So it's like part of their marketplace. I'm not really sure if you created something like super fabulous like Aspen, how you also get it on OpenSea. If anybody else has ideas about how to create a workaround, I'm all ears.
Could they be different numbers? There would be
Could be
different.
different numbers, that's correct.
Right.
Could be different numbers, yeah. But just because the name is different, if there's nothing different about it,
Mhm.
you know, I'm not sure whether the idea of the scarcity, you know, you just don't ever want to say like he's selling 1,000 here, 1,000 over there with a different name. But you know, if you embed something in the video, you could certainly do that. And the actual thing in and of itself, that tiny little variation could be a number 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, we sell 500 in OpenSea. They have a little number on it and 400 over there. And then you can actually put that on your website and say, you can buy it on these different platforms. We have 500 here, 400 there. And so therefore everything is transparent,
Mhm.
you know, and nobody thinks that they go to OpenSea, there's only 500. If they go to OpenSea, they don't do their research,
It
then
could be a
that's
whole other project. I mean, you could put it under the same artist name, but it's a different project. Then being in different platforms is okay. That's kind of making yourself ubiquitous, which is a form
Well,
of marketing in
I
itself.
I would suggest that the object that you're selling that is represented by the NFT needs to be slightly different if you're presenting it as a one-on-one on any platform.
Mhm.
It's not enough to change the name or the artist. The thing in and of itself has to have a small variation that has to be identified in properties so that nobody gets misled by you changing your name, but selling the same thing with a different name on another platform. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking the opposite. I'm thinking
Okay.
that it would just be a totally different project. It's just the artist name is the same, but they have several projects.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
you
are
can do
different
that as many times
aesthetics,
as you
different,
want.
yeah.
Absolutely.
everything. Yeah,
That
yeah.
doesn't
Different themes, that is, yeah.
themes. You can also mint somewhere else and put it on OpenSea. But I think the two marketplace thing is where it becomes a problem. Other questions? Well, it's 12:32, so we got our
Yeah.
exact hour and a half. I'm gonna leave this open for you guys to talk, but if you wanted to drop off, you certainly can. This is really fun and great. It always is, but I think we sort of set a new bar with this group of projects. There was nothing here that I didn't find, really cool and worthwhile. Anything else, Laura? Are you ready to create your collection?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about everything, and I will go to the DAO because I like the idea of maybe making that into a DAO for the school. And I wasn't going to go in that direction, but now I might have to learn that. Yeah, I definitely hope to have something further along the next time that we meet.
Yeah, I think making a DAO is actually quite easy. The hard part is to get people to get a wallet to connect to the DAO.
Oh, okay.
I think that's always the hardest. And
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of the things we just did a pitch night and we had 6 people. And one of the things we always ask is, can this be done off blockchain? Because of that very issue, there's still, a fraction of a percent of people that have a wallet. So if you can create it any other way or create some kind of dual system, you won't be excluding. So a lot of the DAO projects are often to serve the people who are already on the blockchain, or if it's something like Jay's project where the blockchain is solving a problem that is extremely hard to solve otherwise. That's another thing. And you can get a combination. So to give you an example, there's a couple of car companies that are using NFTs for car marketing. I hope I get these straight, but I think Lamborghini is selling original artist who spent like a year doing an exploding Lamborghini and traveled to the factory and got all the parts and, just took years to get this thing together and sold them. They were like 150,000. Now Lamborghini has combined with them to do another art project that includes a bunch of other things, like maybe you get the car with the art and then original music that goes in your car. It goes some with your art, but only your car has that music, that kind of thing. But there's another DeLorean. You cannot buy the new DeLorean that will be manufactured next year unless you have this NFT. That's a way to, sort of create the scarcity phenomenon where that NFT can be resold. And if they only get, 5% of 25,000 that sells for 50,000, that's still, pretty good. So people are using these things in different ways, but that's a really valid question. Why does this have to be on the blockchain? And if it doesn't, why are you not doing it another way? That's just an acid test, I think, for, when you go to your school, you can do a fundraiser for your school. Maybe the NFT is an add-on for the cool factor. Maybe it gets the kids into the fintech world. I don't know. Does mom know what you're up to, Christopher?
I'm glad you asked that because I have spent hours trying to explain to her what cryptocurrency is. My grandmother, I taught her how to use a computer and she wrote a book. And, I taught my mom, I teach her every day how to use her Apple or her iPhone in more new ways. And she's like a leader in her community as far as technology goes.
How old is she?
She's 80.
Oh, yeah. I tried to teach my 89-year-old mother to use an iPad. And it was really, to watch somebody, I know there was a computer and iPad, but when she saw the little cursor going around the screen, she thought it was like a fly. Like she didn't realize that she was in control. She just thought it was like something that was like buzzing around. I never managed it. So good luck.
Yeah.
She must be very proud of you, right? She's just like, I don't know, son, you're awesome. Just do whatever you think is best.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't say that at all. She wants to know.
Oh.
She wants to understand. So I do have to explain.
Yeah, curious
And
mind.
yeah, it's difficult, but it's fun.
Kit, do you have an allow list so that I can get on your list before it's open?
I haven't done that.
I
but
want to
should
go to
do
the
that.
party.
Yeah, I should do that. I have to figure. Yeah, these are all things that I have to, the allow list. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
email.
they don't call it a whitelist anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's an allow list, and I've heard a bunch of other names, but I think allow list is gonna stick.
Yeah.
And if I get on the allow list, do I get to meet all these famous people?
Yeah. I think that'll be something that I'll get into. I'm just learning about, so I'm working with a woman, Megan Cornelius, and she's going to help me with how I think about this stuff for now, because she's with Aspen. But I think it's something that I'm just kind of learning. It's like all this stuff to think about, and you're trying to also be creative. It's a lot, but it's exciting because I do think I've been into crypto for a long time. I bought
So
Bitcoin early and stuff. So
how
yeah,
do you support yourself?
I actually do rewrites and ghostwriting and stuff like that for television, advertising.
You're a writer. I'm a writer
Yeah.
too, so
Oh, really?
that's something
Yeah.
in common. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's much less, I write like tech content marketing, so much less creative. So we've got a writer, an artist, a technologist, and two technologists. Okay, all right, you guys, I'm gonna stop talking again, see if anybody wants to pitch in, and then I'll shut this down if there's no further news.
All right, I will thanks for the opportunity for me to present here. I have to take care of my kids, so I'm gonna say bye-bye to everyone and hopefully to see you guys next time.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll see you all hopefully on the
All right,
19th.
okay,
and
thank you.
Bye-bye, guys. I'm gonna
Hey,
stop
take care.
now.
Bye.
Yeah.
Cheers, everyone.
All right,
Okay. Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.